Yes. Given the global financial turmoil that took place after the collapse of Lehman Brothers, I'm wondering if you have a point of view in retrospect whether the government should have saved the institution, or if you can't comment on a specific deal, if you have a general outlook on government's role in saving or letting financial institutions fail.
It's been, as I mentioned in my remarks, we've been focused on not particular institutions, but on making decisions based on whether that individual case would be systemic in nature, whether it would ripple through financial markets more broadly or the economy. And so it's been the focus of the federal agencies that have been involved in these issues to not save a particular institution or the investors or shareholders of an institution, but rather to make certain that markets continue to function. So, and then, as I said earlier, though, there have been some very tough decisions to be made. And in hindsight, there are going to be a lot of questions about those decisions. And I'm sure we've provided the academic community with years worth of research. And so there is going to be a lot of second guessing. But when you are faced with making a decision, a very critical decision, at the time, you do it based on the information that you have at hand, and you make the best judgments you can make with the information at hand. Unfortunately, there's no model or no script that you go through and check off, we've done this, this, and this. And a lot of the decisions that we make are based on the best judgment. And what we have to rely on is that we have good people that are making good judgment. All these individuals, at least I'll speak from the Federal Reserve's perspective, are individuals who don't have a personal interest at stake. It really is the interest of doing the best thing for the economy and the country, and that's how those judgments, in my view, were made.
Can you actually talk about the valuation of the dollar, and can you actually talk about how do you think that we're going to be able to grow ourselves by having a stronger dollar, and what is it going to do to companies that do a lot of business abroad?
Well, that's another area that as a Federal Reserve official, I can't comment on the value of the dollar. Clearly, we've seen fluctuations in the dollar, and when we've been through a period where the dollar has been weaker, that has helped our manufacturing sector. But it's a good thing that we can't comment on the value of the dollar or the direction of the dollar, because no one really knows where the dollar or currencies are going to be priced. They are priced by the activities by markets, and so we'll just have to see how the marketplace works itself out.
On several occasions today, you referred generally to the causes of the financial turmoil which we've all seen. My question is a rather general one. During recent years, the philosophy, at least of the national government, has been to have less and less regulation. And the mantra, get the government off our backs, has been one we've heard very often. Do you think that philosophy is a significant cause of the turmoil that we've seen? And if so, in what area do you think we should get the government on our backs now?
Well, when my comments about, there are many lessons to be learned through this turmoil, and we're going to all go back and look at what we could have done differently. And the role of government will be another, area that will be looked at, especially in terms of, as we look at different regulations to the financial system. I'm a believer, first of all, a true believer in our market, our capital system, and that is not broken. That you can look at examples across the world, across the history of the world, and it is countries like the United States where it is a market system that makes us more effective, that improves our standard of living. So, you know, we can't question that market system. Now, we do need to look at what will help that market system work better. And you mentioned, you know, is there a role for government? I think at a time like we're in today, as I mentioned, with an economy that is performing under its potential and is likely to do so for some time, we've been very aggressive with our monetary policy. The Federal Reserve has been. I think it's time to also be more aggressive with fiscal policy. And you know very well, as I do, you read the papers, there are several proposals that by the Congress and the incoming administration to look at some fiscal policy solutions to help our economy get back on sound footing again. So I do think that will be an appropriate role. But in terms of last comment about your comment about regulation, you know, I don't think we need more regulation, but I do think we need smart regulation. And I know that sounds, you know, cliche, but we've had a history where our role as a regulator was to go into institutions and to, you know, check off a list of are they doing all the right things, and you know, telling them what they can do and cannot do did not make the financial situation better in previous decades. I think what we need to do is work with financial institutions, because we're no smarter than the financial institutions. When, as regulators, I have my head of supervision here in the audience today, and you know, but what we do need to do is work with financial firms so that that we are more confident that they have the right risk management systems in place, that we better understand, that they better understand the risks that they're taking on, and we also understand that. So there is going to be some opportunities to step back, and again, as I can't repeat, I mean, I know I'm repeating myself, but I can't emphasize enough that we should not just look at quick solutions to address the situation that we're in today, but take a step back and craft some reforms that will help the markets perform better and the economy perform better in the future.
Sandy, if you had some loved one who was ill and they had to have their appendix taken out, if I was a certified physician, surgeon, and I had a good reputation, you would let me use the scalpel. On the other hand, if I was, who I actually am, a retired stockbroker, would you let me use the scalpel? I would say probably you would think long and hard about that. Using the scalpel as capital, which it is, how do we get capital in the hands of people who actually know what they're doing with it? The reason I ask this is because a long time ago, before you were doing some of these things, we had a expose that came about in Congress in which we found that a whole bunch of Congress people had overdrawn their bank accounts, had bills that they had never paid in a long time. So tell me who we need to go to hand the scalpel.